please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
We have Samir Arora, founder and fund manager of Helios Capital, joining us from the sidelines of the Motilal Oswal conference. Samir, good afternoon. Sorry, I could not come down, but of course, Rupee is there to represent the team cnbc TV 18. Interesting tweet about your life in Singapore. You said that you wake up, do all the exercise, and still have enough time for market opening. But that could change from 1st October, right? Perhaps even market closing could be, at time closer to your opening time, right?
Actually, okay, I have a bad voice, so excuse that. But I wrote that because when in Bombay, I realized that CNBC and other channels are so hyper. Whole morning, whole evening. Normally business channels shut off in the evening, although they start early in US. But here I always feel that I'm behind. So much is happening, and actually nothing is happening sometimes.
Okay.
So that's why I saw that Singapore is cool, because I don't have it on all the time.
Yeah, okay. That was on the lighter note.
But Samir, you can't say nothing.
Yeah, I was saying that was on lighter note, of course, Samir. But, the point I wanted to discuss with you was, as a fund manager, we saw a period where a lot of funds underperformed. We saw portfolios take a hit, NAVs were down, mid-cap market went through a brutal correction all through June to, August or July, May to July period. Have we put that behind us? We've started to see, the rally broadening again?
No, it is broadening, and that is helping. But depends on what index you are comparing to. Because if you compare to Nifty, everybody is still underperforming, even us, in rupee or dollar, but if you convert it, because it's too concentrated. But the good thing about being a hedge fund is that people look at absolute performance. We can say it sometimes, that please look at absolute performance, although over time we of course have to beat and have handsomely beaten the index. So it helps to have a broader rally, but mostly it helps if you have the stocks that are going up, even if it is very narrow.
So that always is a great thing, Samir. But
that's the best, actually.
That's the best, right? If only it could work out that way. But having said that, the interest is coming back in the mid-cap market. I was just spotting a couple of these stocks. Even the likes of Kajaria are moving higher. Then there's consumption. Now, the rupee is an issue, and you've been tweeting and writing about that a lot. 750. Given where the rupee is, are you looking at doing a rupee play in the India market? That means load up more on the IT and pharma. Or is that not influencing your decisions at the moment?
Right now it's not influencing too much, because I still feel that growth is higher in many of my financials and in some of my consumer. So we are happy with that part. It's just that the drag of having lost 9.5% on just conversion, that is the irritating part. Otherwise in rupee terms we were okay.
Okay.
We could have managed.
So you still like financials, but the question is what side of financials?
So we are now broadening ourselves.
So that means corporate banks
we
and
even have a
corporate lenders.
PSU bank.
The largest one of them all?
Yeah, of course, the only one which you can have. So, for the first time in 3-4 years, we have not got any short, which we didn't have for the last 3 months, on PSU banks. But in between we used to have this bank once in a while. Now we again have it. Currently actually only in futures. But the idea is, let's see if we can get something out of it. We haven't made much yet, maybe 3-4% or 5%.
Okay,
but generally speaking, everybody had to change a little bit their portfolio, because different things are happening.
Okay, in fact, Samir, you were talking and the bank Nifty is flying right now. Just pull out the intraday chart on the Nifty Bank. Could today be the day that you take out the previous high? 28,321 now is what you have on the Nifty Bank. That last tick is the highest tick that we have right now on the Nifty Bank. So looking rather good over there, and a lot of stocks surging. Of course, Kotak, HDFC Bank, the two biggest component of the Bank Nifty, are also making a bit of a move from the low point. But the usual suspects, Axis and ICICI Bank, also doing quite well. Samir, what about risks for this market? This month we have outperformed emerging markets, and how? And even if you take into account the currency factor, the MSCI emerging market, MSCI Asia ex Japan, we have outperformed that. And in rupee terms, we are perhaps the best performing market. Is that putting us at a bit of a risk, especially that we have so many elections coming up now?
No, that is true. Actually, my biggest risk, if you say slightly big picture, is that even if BJP or Mr. Modi may win the main elections, you cannot say the same about the state elections. And will our market or the investors be intelligent enough or discriminating enough to say, no, this is center, there is state, there is still, you can say, a viable opposition. In center, there is no opposition and people will vote separately or think differently. So that is one event which we have to cross. But, for us, always we have 25-30% short even now. But we have, as I said, changed a little bit of the mix on the long side. And a little bit we have changed the shorts.
Okay.
So this risk will never go away. But generally so far, the momentum is good and it's broadening for sure.
So two-part question then. What kind of shorts do you have in the portfolio right now? And since you said you are even adding PSU banks, and of course the largest of them all, are you adding more high beta in your longs? Are you adding more high beta in the longs?
We have added a corporate bank. Well, we are okay high beta and actually enough on the long side, except that because we are also short, that brings down our beta to be in line with the index, in line with our net. So normally our beta is around 0.6. So we've added a corporate bank and we've added the state-owned bank, and both we added about 2 months ago, 1.5 months ago. So it's okay for the moment. But I still think that my number one bank is the number one best idea of this country, which is HDFC Bank.
HDFC Bank.
Because, now Mr. Puri has been challenged. So I think he has another goal in life. I hope I'm motivating him that now he has to show that how dare you think that my bank will be affected if somebody leaves. He is back on the front foot. He has the money. He grew 18.5%. And what does it take to say, no, it's going to grow 21%? It's one shouting at his 3 subordinates will become 21% or something higher than what the people expect. And it has not correct. It has corrected also, you can say, but it has definitely underperformed. And now it is up only some 9-10% this year. So I think it's pretty good. That's why I feel not to change everything too much.
I think we live in very interesting times, Samir, right? Because some of the biggest banks of our country are going through a management transition in the next 1-2 years. So we will see really how the race stacks up. Now, my question to you is this. Adding more to the portfolio, what has happened is that not only in the large cap space, even in the mid cap space, whatever has worked well continues to work fantastically well. Your Page Industries of the world, Ashok Leyland's of the world, bought back after the recent dip, more such examples, Shriram Transport Finance, etc. So are you comfortable buying these stocks no matter what the PE, or are you actually now trying to go contra, look for value, look for new ideas?
I just told you 2 names in which we've added 7%.
Yeah, on the mid-cap side I'm asking.
On mid-cap I haven't bought anything. I have my old mid-caps have to recover. I'm okay with that. I have no interest in mid-cap for now, unless they are unique. So, what happens after every correction, you realize that even though this mid-cap you had and maybe it went up because the whole market went up, but what is its uniqueness? Nothing. Sometimes you find. There's just one more of the same construction or one more of the same something. So every time you at a turning point, you say, why the hell did I ever buy this? Even though it might be up, at least overall, maybe not in the last 3-4 months. So now we have again forgotten about that. We want companies which we think have something special to add to the customer or to their space, not just one more of the same. So again, when the bull run expands, we'll also forget all this.
That's my next question.
That's part of life.
Given where you sit, your vantage point, you get sort of a lot of information and inputs, global investors. The rally has been so great, not just in India, around the world, even in the US markets. Is it really Goldilocks?
No, it's not that great. Please, first of all, let's not get carried away in rupee terms, in dollar terms, which is the only thing somebody will know.
If we leave the currency disadvantage.
How can a foreign investor leave out? And then somebody will say, oh, but why didn't you hedge the dollar? The point is, if you hedged it routinely, it'll cost you 5% anyway per year. So it's not that hedging means that something happens for free. Like, many people think that, oh, why didn't you hedge oil? Why didn't you hedge this? Nothing happens for free. If it goes beyond that cost of hedging, then only you make some money. And so suppose somebody had hedged at the beginning of the year or end of last year, he would still have lost that 5-6% cost. So he would have saved 3%.
Okay.
But the point is, the whole idea is that it has to be valued in dollars. So it is not a great rally, but we know that it is expanding and we believe there's a limit to how much currencies depreciate unless there's a crisis. So in general, we say, okay, depreciate another 2%, but please stop.
So you're
now.
okay with another 2%?
No, I'm not okay. I'm saying at any point I say that. Okay, now stop.
Okay.
No. So I never hedge the currency.
Okay. By the way, the move is continuing on the bank nifty. So, Samir, Rupee, the last bout of weakness is really interesting. Today, for example, we have hit a fresh low. But at the same time, we have seen portfolio flows come back. The FIs are investing in August and July. We have seen big net inflows. So, thoughts here from, a bit of a dichotomy here.
No, but what does that mean? Nothing. No, it's not at all a dichotomy. It just, what it means that people may think has happened. That will still not take away from the fact that everybody has lost 10% and they are not happy. But even today, one investor on email asked me whether he should invest more because the currency part is over. So the point is, that doesn't mean anything. You can have right now a corporate governance disaster and 15% lower, somebody will be buying that stock, so what? That doesn't mean anything. The point is the currency hit has been bad. But maybe it's in the end game, I agree. And many people will take the bet that now it is done and therefore we should move on. That I agree, denying that. I'm just saying that has been the painful part for foreign investors.
Okay. Safir, talking about it is pharma, Samir. It's been a big top-down move. And of course, bottom-up, we've seen huge moves in 3 or 4 large-cap pharma names.
Correct.
Your thoughts here?
Correct. No, we are happy in life because, everything that moves we don't have to have. As long as we are broadly beating everybody in most cases, we are okay. But we don't believe in the pharma part yet. But anybody who looks at, say, a top-down, technical, 3 underperformance, therefore catch-up, that is one model. We don't have that model. So,
Samir, you said that you believe that this rally is expanding.
It is expanding.
I want to understand what makes you say that, because the naysayers will come, the cynics will come and say, but oil is here, but your ad is worth.
I'm not saying it will expand. It is expanding. I just said that yes, it is true.
Yeah.
That in the last week, many more of our stocks have gone up. But why is it doing?
Do you expect this buoyancy to continue on the index and individual stocks? I mean, are we in this rally for a longer haul?
It could, because if you look at it another way, is that in the first 5-6 months, FIs were selling and domestics were buying. And now there's a situation where in theory both are buying. And there are not very many big IPOs. And Indian investor doesn't feel on paper that he's done badly this year. I mean, he may have underperformed, but it's not the end of the world. Actually, even for foreign investors, if you lose 3-4% in dollar term because you made 4-5 on rupee and you lost 10, it's not such a disaster that I can't face up to them, right? So in that sense, everybody's had a reasonable experience after a very good last year. So in theory, everybody can be back and the results have been good, and the US is doing well. So in general, you could have.
It's a good situation to be in. Since you mentioned IPOs, just one quick question here. The last one that we had, the big one, from the same group that you like so much, I'm talking about HDFC, AMC, valuations. You don't know how to argue these questions in India anymore, and it continues to do well. Numbers were decent. Stocks actually moved to above the listing day high. How do you look at some of the associated financial businesses now, whether it's wealth management, asset management?
Well, I think asset management business in India is one of the worst from a listing point of view. Forget about the valuations. Because, first of all, we know that the way the regulator is going about it, he's making it tougher and tougher for active funds by saying, like suppose you have to choose from 100 stocks, large caps, a large cap fund. Most probably 90% will not be able to beat the index, or 70, and therefore more people will move to ETFs. Second is that in a business where if the stock market corrects 10%, you normally say, okay, my stock has corrected 10%, but not to worry, the earnings are still good. In this business, the earnings will fall 20%, because mostly your revenue will fall 10%. And then your costs will be similar, or they can't react so fast. So in a bad year, whenever it happens, for example, in 2008, we would justify to the world saying, we used to own HDFC Bank, the earnings were up 30%, we are sorry that the stock fell 52, but our stock was very good. In this kind of a business, if the market falls 20, the earnings will fall 40, the valuation will fall another 20% because the market has fallen, so you lose 60% on a action. Therefore, these businesses are not the same as HDFC Life business or bank or the main HDFC. They're in a bad quarter of a market. Earnings also fall. So therefore, I think these should have much lower valuations than they have. And plus, there is this ongoing pressure of reducing margins.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Samir, thoughts on you've spoken about HDFC Bank. That's of course been the biggest wealth generator. The one which isn't far behind is Bajaj Finance. I just want to bring this up because it's just hit new high and hit 3,000. It's been an equally stunning story, and you have it in portfolios.
Correct.
What's going on here? Because
actually, it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah.
For me, at least.
Tell me.
HDFC Bank has been a 1,000 bagger for me.
Yeah.
This is more like, I think, 40 or 45 times.
Yes.
So very big difference.
No.
And this has happened in a very compressed period.
Yes. No, the point I'm asking here is, Samir, that, when we talk to the management of Bajaj Finance, they say that, it's very interesting that no big company has been able to come. Capital First is, of course, there, but the kind of market share Bajaj Finance has is amazing in a market where you should obviously have much more players trying to vie for this market.
No, but you can see that in any of the businesses, including in asset management or in anything, that top 3-4 guys, the others can't replicate easily in any business. In Reliance, which is the number 2 guy, we don't even know who's the number 2 guy. Or in many sectors, it is like that. So I don't think that is very surprising, that why there is not a third or a fourth guy. But now HDFC Bank will have this HDB Financial, which is trying to do somewhat a similar thing. And it will happen over time, but there, why that stock is going up, its growth rate is quite high. It's not like a 20% growing stock. And therefore, people say, okay, if it does it for 2 years, it'll become a normal stock. But we are also all going along for the ride and very grateful to the Bajaj family and to Mr. Jain for, saving us from many other disasters we had.
So, Samir, final thoughts and final question kind of tied in together. I don't know if we can get you good chole bhature in Bombay or not, but we can get you vada pav and we can get you some nice misal pav. But no, that's on a lighter note. The final question. We've spoken about financials a lot. The other big theme in this market, in this country, obviously is consumer. I just want to understand now at these points, again, you have to pay top dollar or whatever, top rupee for these stocks. And retail is getting a lot of interest. I mean, there are M&A deals, PE deals, kind of headlines on a daily basis. How would you dissect and cut and play consumer now in India?
So we have consumer of all kinds, but we don't have retail plays. Okay. Because in a big picture sense, we used to think that retail is being disrupted. Now, of course, then later on began this omni thing that some of these same companies will get something. But these guys haven't really delivered on anything and there is too much competition. But there could be a trigger because of an activity or a corporate event for which how could we have planned. So we are away from retail, but normal consumer we have of all kinds that you can ask for, because we only play 2 themes or 3 themes. Right now we don't have the third theme, which is IT, because of having not had it in the new round. But consumer and financials is what broadly helps us.
Okay, Samir, before we let you go, what's the last good book that you've read? Any recommendations?
Well, right now I am reading Devil's Advocate by Karan Thapar. Brilliant stories. Please read it. Stories about his affairs with Benazir Bhutto, or alleged affairs, and how he made Kapil Dev cry in an interview. Great book.
Okay, Samir, thanks a lot.
Very readable.
Okay, we'll do that over the weekend. Thanks a lot, Samir, for joining us. Always good talking to you. And despite that voice, of course, you were still candid enough and answered all our questions. Thanks a lot